Maybe if this was Legends, someone would say they're a gray Jedi. But those don't exist in Disney canon. They don't exist in George Lucas's mind.
They don't exist on this podcast.
They
don't exist on this podcast.
Henry Shrapnel, a lieutenant
His
general.
name was Henry Shrapnel.
Yes, right? Like, it happened in our world, so why can't it happen in the Star Wars universe?
That makes me think it's basically like someone saying Tim Apple. It's called Apple.
Tim Apple, well-known leader of Apple.
Hey guys, welcome to the Rogue 3 podcast, where we discuss everything Star Wars with a positive outlook on the saga we love. I'm Austin.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Austin.
And today we have something a little bit different for you. We are going to be reviewing a comic from 2017. We are going to be reviewing Charles Soule's first arc of his Darth Vader run. The trade paperback refers to it as Imperial Machine. This is going to be a set of 6 issues that take place shortly after the end of Revenge of the Sith. In fact, the beginning of the comic is just the end of Revenge of the Sith. Before we jump into that, how have you guys been interacting with Star Wars this week?
I've been doing a lot as a federal employee who's currently furloughed. I've had a lot of free time on my hands. And so I've watched 2 or 3 seasons of Clone Wars. I've been reading books, 100 pages or so into The Last Order that we're going to talk about in our next episode. So getting a jump on that. I've been working on projects. Anyone that follows us on social media has seen my Scout Trooper helmet that I have right here that I finished. I've also been working on another project, which is I finished a Jedi holocron. I had made it a long time ago, but I like this because I can slightly change the color of it.
Ooh.
You can see it there where it's not completely blasting with light, but just finished that earlier today. So I've had a lot of free time to binge my interests, and hopefully I'll be back at work soon. But if not, then I'll continue watching more Clone Wars and working on projects. And I'm starting to print a Death Trooper helmet as the next one.
You're gonna get so much
a lot. Yeah. And I played Battlefront 2, the story mode again to go back through it. And it's just been a lot, which it's
Terrific
been fun, but it's
mode.
also like, it's been a lot.
It's been a lot. It's time.
Yeah, mine's not been nearly as involved, but I have been. Obviously, I read the issues that we're talking about today, and then I'm about a quarter of the way through Last Order, and that's been really fun. Nice. And then also, not to open this can of worms, but keeping up with the hunt for Ben Solo situation that's been happening.
The hunt for Ben Solo. Okay, real quick, I want a quick poll. Pro, negative. What do you guys want? Do you want the hunt for Ben Solo or no?
Like overwhelming yes for me.
More Star Wars is good Star Wars. Yeah. Give me more movies. Give me more content. At the time, if it was suggested in 2021, I've been like, come on, it's been 2 years. Like, he's dead. That's just what it is. Like, we have to leave it that way. Now I'm like, hell yeah, bring him back. Like, come on.
Well, and the fact that it was the fact it's like a completed script, like with an actor and director attached,
it's ready to go.
One of their most expensive scripts I read somewhere. It was a
$3 million, I think, is what they had already put towards it.
Like, if you asked me to pick a subject for a Star Wars movie, that's like not like one of my niche interests. Like, I think I could like this is what I would pick. And I feel like all the social media buzz between the flyover at the Disney studio and the billboard in Times Square, like, I feel like it's getting some traction, and so I'm hoping that something will come out of this. We've seen Deadpool got made like in a similar situation. Snyder Cut got released eventually. Like, there is precedent for these things coming to fruition. And I feel like Adam Driver would not have gone this route if he was not passionate about it, because he does not talk about Star Wars. Like I was under the impression he had no interest in ever coming back, and clearly that was not the case. So hoping everybody be using your hashtags to keep this alive.
Can we get the like fan base to also rally around getting Acolyte a second season with the art book coming out and talk about like that Chimere was going to be the idea for Chimere was to be the founder of the Knights of Ren. As like a dark side adjacent group. And I'm like, that's so cool. Cause obviously we know that his master eventually ends up with Palpatine. And I'm like, can we rally the fan base? Like keep the fervor going for kind of these different projects that have gotten shelved.
Well, and Disney CEO, he's in the end of his term. Like he's coming to an end. And Kathleen Kennedy, she's coming to an end too. So there's hopefully some leadership changes will lead to some hopefully this will be positive, which not that I have anything against Kathleen and
Kathleen Kennedy has done a lot for Star Wars.
I'm very pro Kathleen,
very pro Kathleen podcast.
but hopefully
not always pro Bob Iger.
Bob Iger, I got a lot of thoughts on Bob,
a lot of feelings.
He's the better of the two Bobs who have led Disney recently.
Yes, he is. He is. He gave us Disney nothing Plus. For us. I love having a place to stream Star Wars. There's a win. That's a win, Bob.
Okay.
But you've made some pretty gross decisions about Ben Solo and the Acolyte.
Yeah.
I don't know what his involvement in the Acolyte was, but
I believe similar. I believe similar. But
all right. Well, why don't we go ahead and just dive into The Chosen One? I've done absolutely nothing with Star Wars this week besides reading news articles, so nothing exciting. I've been busy. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. First, we've got this is the second run of Darth Vader comics. So the first one, of course, was written by Kieran Gillen. That was back in 2015, and that intersected quite nicely with the 2015 Star Wars story comics between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. But now we're coming up a little bit and starting to fill in the gaps between episodes 3 and 4. It really feels like these comics are being used to fill in gaps.
For sure. Yeah. Especially like it started with the mainline Star Wars run and the Darth Vader run. That was, it felt like the intent, right? It starts immediately after A New Hope. It fills the gap between, and then this is doing a similar thing. Like this one's set, it's literally starting 1 second after Revenge of the Sith, right? So it is immediately following that movie to fill that gap. Unlike the other ones where they're filling gaps, it doesn't fill all of it, which I kind of like. As Star Wars fans, we often get into a situation where we want all of the answers and we want to know everything about every character and everything. But I think it's good to have empty places for future stories, future storytellers to come in and fill those gaps. And so like, that's, I'm okay that this run that we're talking about, we're not going to talk about all of it, but it gets to about 12 BBY and it jumps around later on. It's not like this is 12, 19 years of comic stories.
Yeah, I feel like the comics are really like they really use them as a this is how this happened thing. Mm-hmm. Like it's a lot of like what we're talking about today is like this is how Vader got his lightsaber, and it's a lot of those things like what was Luke doing between episodes 4 and 5. Like and, it's like all of that type stuff, and when it's done well, the comic like those are really fun stories. When it's not done well, it can be a little bit just like exposition-y.
Right.
I think this is a good.
Yeah. This is an example of a good, well done.
Yeah.
Should we talk a little bit about why we decided to review this? This seems kind of random out of nowhere. 8 years later.
Yeah. I mean, one of them is it's a new thing for us to do. We've never talked about comics really together. And so we thought that would be kind of a fun inclusion to do comics. And I'll say to our listeners, if there are comic runs that you guys want us to dive into to talk more about their implications and canon and stuff like that, let us know, because this is kind of a new experiment for us. Mm-hmm. But the bigger thing is that it intersects really, really heavily with the new Adam Christopher book that's coming out. It'll be out by the time this episode is out, but on November 11th, called Master of Evil. That is a Darth Vader book. And the excerpt that was released is all about bleeding kyber crystal. And so that's what these comics really established for Vader. So we kind of thought it's good for us to review.
The excerpt actually shows a scene that's depicted, or it talks about a scene that's depicted in issue 5 of this run.
Mhm.
So I'm imagining the author did a lot of intense Charles Soule reading to make sure
Yeah.
that nothing intersected poorly. So we're excited to read that here shortly.
Yeah, and I think Adam Christopher has a good track record of being pretty successful with Shadows of the Sith and paying attention to all of the various things that happened in the sequel series and making those connections and stuff like that, like paying good homage to those different scenes and stuff. So I'm highly anticipating that book.
Why don't we just start with our overall thoughts about the story? Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, I really enjoy this. I read this back when the trade first came out, so that probably would have been like 2018. And I remember enjoying it then. I enjoy reading it again this time. It's kind of crazy. I feel like so much of these earlier Star Wars comics are just like in the zeitgeist now. I don't really think about like where that information came to me, but I just like remember, like, oh, that's how Vader bled his crystal, and it's just a really solid story. Charles Soule is great, whether it's comics or books, and this is another good example of him.
I agree. I think it's a terrific story. It's a very fast-paced arc, which I appreciate. You know, when I'm sitting down to read a comic book, I appreciate when it's kind of bang, 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 moving on through the story. Lots of major pieces of lore are either introduced here or reinforced here, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I had read this a few years ago when I really started, probably about a year ago, actually, when I really started finally diving into comics. And I was shocked by how much of this story had intersected with other stories at that point, and how much of it, as you guys had, has become kind of mainline Star Wars stories and lore and information about the Barash Vow that we'll talk about later, the bleeding the Kyber crystal, and other parts of it. And so I really like this story, and I like that, as you said, Austin, that you can read and it goes fast paced. I like that comics, you can show a lot of the story. You can show years pass in a comic very easily. And so you can get a lot of different stories and a lot of different arcs that are pretty quick, but they tell you so much. And I really, really like that. And I think this is like such a great example. If you haven't read a Star Wars comic, I think this is a great place to start.
If you really like, you don't need any outside information besides having seen
Revenge of the Sith.
the prequels, and
well, jumping into issue 1 here, we didn't say it. I don't know if it needs to be said, but spoilers abound. So if you haven't read it yet, give it a read real quick. It'll take you 5 seconds. And starting with Revenge of the Sith. So we're just moments after Revenge of the Sith. We see Vader still distraught over his transformation and the wife that he lost.
You can say her name.
Padme.
It's not said enough, right?
It's not said enough. It's not said enough. You know that Austin and I believe that. Something I was very interested here is skipping a little bit forward. We come to the Jedi Temple, which seems to have fairly quickly turned into the Imperial Palace. You know, we already see flags on the outside with the Imperial insignia, and we see Masamita out front throwing lightsabers into a giant incinerator. It was cool. They showed Yoda's lightsaber, so they did successfully find Yoda's lightsaber, obviously, and threw it in the incinerator, which I thought was interesting. The detail on his lightsaber is cool.
Yeah. However, I will also say that Luke later finds Yoda's lightsaber in his hut, and so it is it was a little bit of a continuity break there, which has been fixed by saying that Yoda had more than one lightsaber. Of course he would.
And then it ends up in Doc Ondar's shop on Batu.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. The one that Luke had must have ended up there.
Yeah.
I assume they found this one in his quarters. I don't know. As long as we can hammer all of this together, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I like that. We kind of see the propaganda machine of the Empire starting immediately.
Absolutely.
Right? So fast to show all the citizens in the plaza of the Jedi Temple, like reveling in the destruction of all of these lightsabers, that it would have to be so quick to spread that information around and rally people together.
And it really feels like, and we kind of saw this in the Mask of Fear book, Mas Amedda really feels like a front to the Empire at this point. In Master of Evil, we don't even see Palpatine at all, I don't think. It's only is that no? Do we see him?
I was agreeing.
Yeah. And at the end we see Mas Amedda talking to Mon Mothma, but that's it. And he's kind of the face of the movement, and it feels like he's really the face of the movement here as well.
In Reign of Fear, you right? You said at one point Master of Evil. Yeah,
I said Mask of Fear.
Yeah, you did Mask of Fear. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I think you said Mask of Fear, and then I thought you said Master of Evil at one point.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh,
okay.
I don't know. We'll find out in the edit.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. It's also interesting, as we've seen in other Star Wars stories, just to see how quickly the populace turns against the Jedi. Right. They're so willing to believe the lie. It's an enormous crowd there.
Yeah. And I have something on that we'll talk about in like when we get to issue 4 about like people and their feelings about the Jedi that I kind of was thinking about.
Yes, I know what you're going to talk about.
The big piece from this issue is the lightsaber bleeding, and yet the idea of discussing lightsaber crystal bleeding. Something we were talking about before we started recording was that that's a piece of, like, in the Disney canon era, lightsaber bleeding's been around like a long time, and we didn't realize that it first appeared in the Ahsoka novel when it was discussed. This is the first time that it's like actually being like the process is being laid out for us when Palpatine tells Vader that he has to go find a Jedi, take their crystal, and bleed it.
And the process is described a little bit. He says, quote, "Through the dark side, you must pour your pain into the crystal, and when at last the agony becomes more than it can stand, a beautiful crimson." We also hear Vader say, "The saber of a Sith is not given, it is taken."
Yeah.
So this kind of leads us onto our quest.
It basically makes me think that he has to break the spirit of the Kyber crystal, which is so sad.
It is so sad.
Like he's like,
I
it's
like the way you
and,
said that.
Yeah, it has to break its spirit, and Palpatine mentions that it's like it has a sort of life, right? Like it's kind of alive.
Yeah,
and that's it's like he's breaking the spirit of it, which is just terrible. But then he's sent on a journey to Brightholme in issue 2. And I love that we see clones almost kind of goofing off in the start of that issue, that they're like, "Look, I'm a Jedi," and one of them pulls up a lightsaber. He's like, "If you were a Jedi, you'd be dead." I kind of like that, like we see, because we have Bad Batch and we have others that like clones are very serious and everything. And
they're very casual.
This is a very
here.
different. Yes.
Well, it was also kind of fun because this would have come out like probably 4 years before. I forget what year Bad Batch came out, like officially, but it was interesting seeing, like, we had a rough idea of what happened with Camino and everything, because the clones are referencing like the clone project being shut down and everything, like what's going to happen to them. But just kind of like is like water cooler discussion. Like it wasn't like a big conversation. So that was kind of fun to see that from back in 2017.
I imagine that's like in-universe propaganda of like, oh, they're shutting down Camino instead of they're destroying the entire world, right?
Yeah.
At this point, it seems like it's just a rumor, I suppose, because they haven't actually destroyed anything yet. We do see them using arc fighters, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know how long. Do you guys know?
How long until they use like TIE fighters and whether clones do use TIE fighters not? I'm not sure we know that
at all. Yeah.
Not. Yeah. And
they mention that, they don't, the clones in this arc mention, or this episode, or this issue, excuse me, mention that they don't think they're going to see combat again. They think they're going to be phased out. So they know what's coming, which is also kind of an interesting perspective here.
Well, and they do see combat again quite quick.
Yeah. They sure do. Yeah. So obviously Vader comes in.
Yeah. That was one of the things that stood out for me. And it has stood out for me throughout Charles Soule's like this run and the 2020 run is that Vader goes out of his way to attack and kill people.
Yeah,
and he starts it off with even their own people. He is just gonna go, and his little droid's like, I can send them the codes to shut down and not attack you. He's like, nah, like let me kill him.
Yeah. Can we pause there and talk real quick about his little droid, because I thought he was adorable. He does not have a name. I could not find a name anywhere, and I thought he was just the cutest little thing. I hope that we see more of him someday. I don't remember what I've read the whole
maybe he's in Master
series,
of Evil,
but
maybe,
you know what? Maybe he is. Maybe we'll finally
maybe
get a name for him. I do know he's in a smattering of issues through this run, but don't actually know the context.
Yeah.
Vader starts going through the station. We're seeing lots of lightsabers. One of them actually kind of looked like Plo Koon's saber to me, but it was green, so it obviously was not Plo Koon's. But and Vader comes upon a computer terminal, and he's looking for Jedi who have undertaken the Baresh vow.
Yeah, this is the first introduction to the Baresh vow, which has become much, much larger, especially because of the Acolyte and the High Republic. So the Baresh vow is when a Jedi essentially abstains from interacting with the Jedi Order. They're still following the Force, they'll still use the Force, but they don't interact or follow the will of the Council. They have kind of cut themselves off from that. So they're still a Jedi. Maybe if this was Legends, someone would say they're a gray Jedi. But those don't exist in Disney canon. They don't exist in George Lucas's mind.
They don't exist on this podcast.
They don't exist on this podcast. They don't exist in this podcast.
No gray Jedi.
No gray.
But it's interesting to hear that there's 14,000 Jedi from the start of the Order that have undertaken the Baresh vow, because we know from the High Republic it's named after a character named Baresh, and she undertakes a vow and separates herself from the Order, but it's retroactive. So the explanation has been that it's named after her from that point onwards, but before her, people were still doing it. So it's not 14,000 from 380 BBY. It's, the 25,000 years of the Jedi Order. And there's even inclusions that Obi-Wan Kenobi undertook it, although I would argue that there is no Jedi Order for him to avoid being a part of at that point when he's on Tatooine. But we see a lot of others, especially in the Acolyte. We see Master Torben undertake the Baresh vow and basically be using the Force, but cut off from the world around him. And so that was a huge, huge inclusion for the Baresh vow to be into that show, which is really awesome.
The hand wave to me is just so funny. Of we have this character from 300 years ago. It's almost like the Rusan Reformation with the Republic, where they were like, oh, the Republic's existed for 1,000 years, even though Obi-Wan had said 1,000 generations. Well, it turns out we reformed. So I feel like it's kind of the same thing, but as long as we can hammer this thing together, I'm okay.
Yeah. I'm fine with this like retroactive continuity. Like you can retcon it, and that's okay with me. If I'm like, yeah, I could see it being named that after this really well-known instance of that happening, right?
Yeah.
We have things like that, like shrapnel existed for generations and hundreds and thousands of years with cannons and explosions and stuff like that. It only became named that after a general or a commander in the 1800s. It's a person's name. Who knew that? So like that has happened in our own world, so that it happens in the Star Wars universe, right? I want to double check that, but I'm very certain that was a person's name.
So that means we got like
Henry Shrapnel,
running.
a lieutenant general.
His name was Henry Shrapnel.
Yes, right? Like it's happened in our world, so why can't it happen in the Star Wars universe?
That makes me think it's basically like someone saying Tim Apple. It's called Apple.
Tim Apple, well-known leader of Apple. Yes. But yeah,
all right.
it's a huge inclusion, and in just like a brief reference, we learn a lot more of it in the third issue when we meet Karak Infilla, who's undertaken the brash vow.
Yes, we do. And this is a lovely segue into the third issue. We're on the planet Aldalim, which I don't know if that appears anywhere else.
Not that I saw. Yeah, I looked.
Pretty nondescript.
Nowhere
I don't
else.
think it does.
Yeah.
It was pretty nondescript.
Oh, it does. No, I'm
There's
sorry.
some
It does
interest-
in the Star Wars main run comic because Luke goes there.
Oh, does he? I wonder if
Yes,
this references that.
That's right. Yeah,
Um,
it does. It very much does because
does
the little Thalothian boy talks to Luke about how he and his
survived.
sibling were saved by a Jedi from a flood.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
So
I love when they do
I
things
like those
that.
little connections. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Not a whole lot happens in this particular arc other than Kirak and Vader do battle. There's lots of traps basically leading up the mountain. And then Vader gets to the top and then pushed right back down.
Yeah, Kirak is we've seen him in the High Republic a lot, but this is his first inclusion. He's not a known species, but I like that his description is he did nothing but fight. Like he is the expert of fighting, and we see Vader lose the first battle to him. So like we see that like Vader in this armor is not all about it. Is not like the terrifying thing that we've grown to know him as. He's not in control basically of his body, and so he's falling for traps that are set for Padawans basically. And so I kind of like that we see him get used to it more and more. We see him eventually rebuild it and build it himself, and that throughout this first 6 issues. So I kind of like that we see him lose.
We do. And then our Jedi Master Kirak, he is attempting to escape to continue to fight, to continue to hunt down what he assumes must be Vader's master. It is fun.
Vader's too weak to be the master.
He's too weak to be the master. It's fun to see a set of Thalothians doing ship mechanics on his ship. It is interesting that they held on to his ship for that long.
Right.
Without hearing from him.
It's like 20 years almost.
He said he paid for it, so
He paid for it. He's
But
rich.
he undertook the brash vow before Anakin entered the Jedi Temple.
yeah.
So that's a long time for them to have held on to his ship.
It's funny, what his basically undoing is. He didn't lose necessarily in battle. He lost because he was trying to protect people, and that ended up being his weakness. And I don't know if that says anything about the Sith.
I think it says more about the Jedi.
Too weak.
That well, think about in the Acolyte, the first episode, when the first Jedi Master falls to May. It's the same situation, right? She stops the knives from going in the bartender, but then she is hit, right? It's that. It's like, again, I feel like Leslie Headland read this comic over and over as like, what are stories? What are good ones? What are good ideas of what Jedi are like? What the Sith and dark side is like? Because there's quite a bit that seems to have been pulled from it and put into that show.
Moving into the main event, in my opinion, of this whole arc. Number 5, we're going back to Mustafar. So finally seeing another planet that we're familiar with.
I like that Palpatine has basically told the droid, take him here.
Yep.
It's not like Vader's going to go there and that's where he wants to do this. It's Palpatine is directing him where to go.
Well, it makes sense for it to be Mustafar because, like, the whole point is like you're supposed to feel the pain and everything, and it makes sense to send him to the place where Obi-Wan and Padme were lost to his life. So,
and Palpatine says it's a dark side locus of power. Do you guys think that he was thinking about that in Revenge of the Sith to send the Separatist Council there, and then that's going to be like part of Anakin's fall is he's surrounded by the dark side energy of this planet and everything. Like that's now what I think about when I hear that is like that Mustafar is a dark side planet, is that was all very planned out.
yeah, I think it makes sense that Palpatine had that planned out, because Mustafar is not like an ideal place to send your like corporate board to hang out.
Right. A corporate retreat to a volcano.
It's not exactly like where you send people to like bide their time.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably why Palpatine chose that for
Why don't they question
dramatic
that then?
effect. Yeah,
They're not like, why are you sending us here?
because
To what end?
Yeah, to what? No, I mean, I feel like at that point, they're like so beaten down, like by Palpatine. Like every time they haven't done what he wanted, it's like been bad. So
I know, poor things.
Yeah, the poor corporate overlord.
Poor
corporate overlords. We're big supporters of the Techno Union on this podcast.
Yeah, Union strong.
Union strong.
We do support unions. Didn't think about it that way.
Hey, we like the separatists from a certain point of view.
Mina Bonteri great.
Mina
Bonteri is
he's
great.
A treasure.
Yeah.
The separatists, the people are not that bad.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're coming in here. What I actually really enjoyed seeing Vader's semi-redemption within this arc. Especially the scenes with him coming to Obi-Wan and taking his helmet off and just kneeling there in front of him. And Obi-Wan just accepts him right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of beautiful. And then we lose that immediately.
Yep.
Yeah, we know.
I like that the planet that Obi-Wan is on is not a desert planet. It's very lush and
beautiful.
Green because,
yeah.
Then the implication is Vader has no idea where he would be, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know that he's on Tatooine, and that I almost wish that was what broke him from that vision, was that he's like, Tatooine? No, I'm not going there.
Too much sand.
Too much.
Sand.
Yeah, that's no good. No good. I take me back. I want to be evil again.
Then he does deny the light.
Yeah, the part that like really hurt me with this was when he's like actually bleeding the crystal, and he says, "This is all there is," and it just shows like how much of like a whip dog he is. Like he's just like truly thinks there's like no way out of this life he's found himself in. And at this point we're at best 2 weeks out from Revenge of the Sith, and he's just like so fatalistic about it. Like he's just like, there's no way to possibly get out of this.
I can't redeem myself anymore.
Yeah. And he doesn't for 19 years. Like that's like kind of the headspace he's in for that long. And you're just not an excuse. That's certainly not to excuse his actions, but it makes sense why he's willy-nilly killing people when he thinks that's all there is.
Yeah, but we see for the first time in Star Wars canon, he actually succeeds at bleeding the crystal. He re-cements himself into the dark side. And I like that. Yeah, it's the first time we get to see that, which again, why I said Leslie Headland has read this comic and took a lot from it, is then she pulls that into the live action, and we've seen it and heard of it other places. And so I really like that.
So big question here is, what do you guys prefer? Do you prefer the Acolyte's rendition of bleeding a lightsaber crystal or Darth Vader's?
I think I got to go Acolyte, just because like that scene was so dramatic. Like it happened naturally. Like Vader like forced this to happen, but with I forget if it was May. I think was it May or Osha? I forget.
Osha does it. Yeah.
Osha bleeding the crystal like from her like pure like the emotional turmoil she was feeling. I think that was a pretty powerful scene.
There's something kind of interesting about an unintentional crystal bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, were there ever Jedi in the past who were just so angry that they unintentionally bled their crystals?
Well, it makes me also wonder about like Baylan, Skull, and Shin-Hati's being kind of the red-orange. Maybe they didn't bleed it all the way, but you can partially do it, or most of the way, or something like that.
That's interesting. Are orange crystals a natural color you can find within kyber crystals, or are they something that they...
But
not the orange
not
red,
like
that
the
they...
red orange, yeah. On the question between Acolyte, I'll actually go opposite. That I like this version better of the Darth Vader versus the Acolyte and Osha doing it, because then it feels very intentional. That like if you're pouring your hatred, like you have made your choice. That's not like an emotional outburst, but it is like I want, if you're going to be doing something evil, I want you to have thought about it instead, because I want to believe that evil is intentional. It's not just happenstance or a moment. It is thought of, it is personal, and it is like driven to make that happen.
I like that too. And just to make a note, this is also a piece that we're going to see in Master of Evil. So we will also see this as well. We do know what occurs on Mustafar. Part of it does. So we're excited to read that. The next issue starts with a banger of a move on Vader's part. I absolutely loved watching him rebuild himself from a back-to-tank. I thought that was very fascinating.
It was wild. Like,
I don't know if we ever see that ever again happen.
Yeah.
But
we don't really see the Force like move quickly like that.
No.
Like I can't really think of another instance where we saw like the Force like doing something like
Lego
really
Star Wars.
fast. Yep, Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
Force building.
Yeah, that's true. Force building. Yeah.
So maybe,
Are you saying
maybe Vader was a Force builder?
Are you saying that when Darth Vader is throwing random objects at Luke at Cloud City, that's not fast as they slowly glide across the screen? And Luke's missing them and hitting him in his shoulder and stuff. That's so fast. It's
not
so
fast
quick.
enough.
No one could dodge that.
On this podcast, Mike, not fast enough.
I do like seeing, and I feel like it's all because of Rogue One and his appearance in the back to tank that we get some more scenes of him in the back to tank doing stuff like that. And I really liked seeing that too. It's like Palpatine even nods, like, as you're an engineer. So like he's done things like this, and we see him rebuild himself when he's after his first loss to Kirak. And so I like seeing this too. I think it's very much a Vader thing to be like, no one is good enough to do it except me. Right?
Yeah, that is very much a Vader thing. We do see him meet the Grand Inquisitor for the first time. So we get a little introduction to the Grand Inquisitor, which is nice. It's fun to see their meeting. No one asked for it, but
one of the themes throughout all 6 issues kind of is, and I like that the Grand Inquisitor highlights this a lot, is they refer to Vader as a monster.
Yeah.
And I like that he's not a human to them. He's a monster. He's not a robot or a droid. He's a monster. And I think that's really cool that like the Grand Inquisitor is like, what is this monster? Like that's what Vader would feel like to any even normal person, let alone someone who's Force sensitive, is like, what is this beast that is coming after me?
Which we continue to see. He's a mysterious figure even within the Empire. People don't really know him. For some people, he's just a myth, and he is a monster.
Well, you see that even in like A New Hope. Like Tarkin brings him to the board meeting, and it's kind of like walking into a board meeting with Frankenstein, like looming over your shoulder. Like, and it's just like what do I do with this? Like, we're trying to talk about like military strategy and stuff, and you have this hulking space wizard looming over your shoulder, choking out your coworkers. And like he really by the time we get Empire Strikes Back, like it seems like he's more in the like chain of command. But up until that point, he kind of feels like he's like doing special projects. Like he's not really like involved
special projects
in the in the apparatus.
I think throughout this run, he's referred to as like Palpatine's enforcer.
Yeah.
Right. He's not known, but then especially after A New Hope in the 2015 run, you see him be a part of the military. You see him leading more. And so, you do get that transition between he's a monster to he's a military part of the Empire.
going back to the Grand Inquisitor, something I think that was really cool was how easily Vader like handled him.
Mhm.
And Palpatine like kind of like chastises the Grand Inquisitor, and it kind of reminds like you're not the main character. Like this is not Grand Inquisitor issue number 6. This is the Darth Vader story, and you're just like
you
a little part of this.
you may have a red blade, but we do not grant you the title of Darth.
Darth, yeah. And I think that was kind of cool because in these earlier issues, Vader was kind of humbled a little bit, whether it was by Palpatine or by Kirak or
Mhm.
what have you. But it was kind of cool to see Vader kind of aura farming, as the kids say these days. But not that Vader really needs that. I think we probably have too much of that. But it was cool seeing like kind of like the formal establishment of the Inquisitors, which would become such a big part of like Star Wars Rebels and Obi-Wan Kenobi and more Star Wars media.
Well, we end this issue with a little tease of the rest, which is revealing that Jocasta Nu is alive and Vader is going to be sicked on her next. I am curious how that little piece where this novel is going to fit in to the comics. You know, it obviously is going to overlap quite a bit. So I'm curious what's going to be adapted, what's going to be a new story, where are they going to shovel in new pieces of story. There's definitely space to do it, but that'll be interesting to see.
Well, it was very interesting. I remember like when this issue came out, like people online were like, Jocasta Nu's alive and everything. Because the last time we saw her was like in the background of some Clone Wars episodes. Like the most people obviously know her from Attack of the Clones when she's like telling Obi-Wan he's an idiot because if it's not in the library, it doesn't exist.
To be fair, true.
And then we see her and she's got like, we see her here and she's like holed up in a cave with like a sniper rifle and like
very different woman.
Very different woman.
It is wild how powerful she is and how strong. But also I love her connection to the Grand Inquisitor's backstory and why he falls. Because this is so quick after Revenge that and all of these Inquisitors are on the dark side, right? We see 5 of them, I think. And, you know, who would have thought that they would have turned so fast? Well, it's because they were turned before.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. Like this has been a plan in place with Palpatine for a while. And this cements that. Like this isn't a new thing that he's starting. He's already been doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this run a lot. I like this, these 6 ones have such a connection to the wider Star Wars universe now and the lore with Wheeling Crystals and the Brash Vow and all the characters that we see. They've really proliferated. I think it's like very much like it just covers so much. So in just 6 issues.
Yeah, this series really this was a great start to like what was a great comic run. I think all 3 of the Vader runs have been really great. I think they've been a lot more consistent than the Star Wars, the main Star Wars title has been. I think this series, like, it establishes a lot of lore, and it's also how we see a lot of Jedi die. Like the series kind of really like cemented context. Like if you did not see them die in episode 3, they are still out there. So because I mean we would go to see like Jocasta Nu, Edith Koth, a couple other people throughout the series that Vader's sent to kill. But I think this was a great start to what was a great series.
I'll always talk up Charles Soule's work.
Oh yeah.
His Darth Vader runs have been, to me, like quintessential Star Wars comics. They're so easy to read. They're so good, so intriguing. But then his books, The High Republic and Trials of the Jedi and all of that was also very, very good. And so like anything that he puts out for Star Wars, like I'm going to be reading it as soon as it happens. And it just like reiterates that with me with this. I'm like, okay, well, now I need to read the rest of this run again because it starts so strong and so well.
Well, he does a really great job of, he really appreciates like the wide world of Star Wars. Like with this series, like he pulled in the stuff from Rebels. Like he really didn't have to bring in Inquisitors if he didn't want to, but he chose to bring them in. Like lightsaber bleeding, that was introduced by E.K. Johnston. He made that like a core part of this. And like his whole third run was based around like the Padme handmaidens, and like he really stuck to the lore she introduced in the Queen's trilogy. He really ties in a lot of like the High Republic stuff, not just his work with the other authors as well. And so I think he's definitely one of the best that Star Wars has right now.
Sure is.
Cool. Anything you guys want to talk about before we let it go?
Should be everything.
Looking good.
Cool. So what's next for us?
Well, we are going to be reading The Last Order, and that's going to be our next episode, I believe. And then we'll be reading another book, Master of Evil, because we are gluttons for punishment. We want to read.
And maybe one day Mike will be back at work and won't be able to read as much as he's been doing.
Maybe one day.
We'll give you an update in 2 weeks. Maybe by the time this episode's out, I'm back at work. If not, send help.
I know, right?
All support to all of my fellow federal workers out there.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, thanks guys for chatting about this 6 runs. I'm going to sign off and probably start issue 7 here in a moment.
There you go.
And until next time, this is going to be Rogue 3 signing off.
Thanks everyone for joining us to talk about the galaxy far, far away. You can find us on Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok as Rogue 3 Media. We look forward to talking with you at the next rendezvous point.